the distance running for me has been the biggest impact to show how small efforts consistently can make a drastic effort or can make a drastic effects long term.
Well, I want to welcome you to another episode of What Drives You. Today I have another great guest. He is a real estate runner, investor, fan of the Bigger Pockets podcast, and a good friend of mine, Grant Wilsterman. Grant, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. I'm pretty excited about this. I don't do many interviews. This is an exciting one for me.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad that you're here and glad that you're, open to doing an interview with us today. To kind of kick things off, Grant, what is your story and how did you get into real estate?
So I have a more interesting path into real estate. I grew up in Pennsylvania. I'm not originally from Charlotte. I went to Clemson University, and that was kind of my introduction to the Southeast. There, I ended up getting a civil engineering degree and graduated, went into the environmental sector of the civil world. Within like a year of working there, I pretty quickly realized that it was not what I wanted to do, or at least I didn't want to be what my boss was. And I kind of figured okay, maybe it's the company, maybe the career path is still the right path. So I ended up switching to a new company about a year and a half in. Within 3 months at that company, I was like, this is not it. I also don't want to be my boss here. So I started trying to just figure out what my next move was going to be. Ended up listening to a lot of Bigger Pockets, got really excited about real estate. I bought a townhouse that was not in a great area in Greenville. Bought it for $42,000, which, and now I'm like, I don't know where you could find a $42,000 townhouse.
No, nowhere.
It wasn't great, but I bought it, I renovated it, did all the work myself and learned a lot during that. Definitely wouldn't live there now, and it was definitely not to code, but learned a lot. And it ended up being a Section 8 rental for a while, and it was productive, and that was kind of my intro into real estate. And it was from there on, I was like, okay, what's the quickest way I can make this a full-time career?
Okay.
Knew I wanted to move to Charlotte, got my license here in North Carolina, made the move, quit my job in engineering, and started real estate here in Charlotte.
No, that's awesome.
Been doing it for 5 years now, and it's great move. Really happy with it.
What made you want to decide to do it here in Charlotte versus another part of North Carolina?
Yeah, I had a lot of friends that, oddly enough, just graduated Clemson. All the guys I played tennis with in college, they all moved here to Charlotte. I'd been visiting here a couple times a year just to see them, go to the ACC tournament, and I knew I wanted to be in a bigger city than Greenville, South Carolina. It just kind of ticked all the boxes. Good friend group, great city, easy living expenses, and I knew I could get my license here, and hopefully it would turn out well, and I got lucky enough it did.
Nice. So about how long have you been in real estate now?
5 years.
Okay.
Essentially, yeah. I started 2019, April.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, to be relatively, I guess, newer into the real estate space, you are doing very, very well for yourself. So, what kind of makes you successful as an agent?
I'm trying to figure that out myself now. I honestly, I started, I didn't really have very many leads, or I didn't have a big enough sphere to say I could rely on that fully. A lot of my friends weren't at buying age at that point. And I kind of got my start from leads through Realtor.com and door knocking. And the door knocking ended up being successful. I would never want to do that now, but I'm glad I did, to kind of get my foot in the door and start having some deals. My first transaction was a $450,000 transaction out in Mint Hill.
It's not bad for first.
No, that was one of those, it seemingly just fell in my lap after 3 months of doing a lot of Realtor.com leads, and it was one of those, looking back, if that didn't go through, I don't know if I would have been, how long I would have been in real estate. So that was a big win. transitioning on to now, it's been, my sphere is 50% of my client base now, and the other 50% is my YouTube channel.
Okay.
I started making YouTube videos a year and a half, 2 years ago,
Nice.
and they're just house tours. They're really basic. I don't push them or run ads on them or anything, and it just kind of is organic traffic that people moving to Charlotte get a lot of value out of, and that's been the majority of my leads.
Okay. Yeah, watching YouTube, especially when you're not from here, because I just moved to Charlotte, it'll be almost a year.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of the first things that I was doing is on YouTube, like, you know, what's Charlotte about? Like, what's this neighborhood and what are these places? Now that I'm living here, I'm kind of getting a better understanding. But, prior to moving here, it was all on YouTube. Like,
Yeah.
let me check out what's going on in Charlotte.
Yeah, and I'm a visual learner. That's how I learned. That's how I learned how to do everything.
Yep.
I mean, I learned all the renovation stuff that I knew on that townhome, all YouTube.
Wow.
Everything I've done was all through YouTube. I see other people or other agents post videos on house tours, and I was like, these are pretty bad videos. I bet I can do better than that. And I realized it was harder than I thought. YouTube is a much harder platform than I anticipated. But you just keep putting out videos. The first video is always going to suck.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, one of the things that, because I just started this channel, I've been watching a lot of different videos on how to grow your YouTube channel and everything. And like there was a video from Mr. Beast, and he was like, your first 10 videos are gonna suck,
yeah,
but make sure that they don't like the 10th video doesn't suck as bad as the first video does.
yeah,
So find something to improve on. Is it thumbnails? Is it, color grading? Is it the audio? Is it something? And so as long as you're continually improving on it, it'll get better, and eventually, you'll start seeing the fruits of your labor. But it seems to be working out for you because you're starting to get leads and stuff from it. So that's awesome. I'm glad that the effort into YouTube is not unwarranted, I should say.
yeah. I think so. There were certainly times in the beginning where I'm making these videos and I'm like, I'm not really sure these are worthwhile. They're not good videos.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like my wife's watching these videos, or I don't blame her for not watching them either.
Right.
But it was enough that I knew that if I kept putting myself out there, that they would progressively get better, and it's been the case. You look back at the last year of how many views and how much time people have spent watching it, and it's kind of astounding. And that's like the steady growth and just the consistency. Out consistencying people will eventually win.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't need to be the best video out there. You just need to keep putting them out there.
Yeah, and I'm learning that I don't have to, like, as long as you're doing something, that someone's gonna watch it.
Yeah.
Now, I've done like the shorts as well as the longer videos,
Yeah.
and of course, shorts get views quicker because it's only a minute.
Oh yeah.
But I'm trying to leverage those shorts to getting more views onto my main platform, and that's the cycle of it.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about that. I haven't done that or haven't taken a shot at that, mostly because my videos are the long format, and the reason I think they are successful is because I go into every detail of the house. Is when I'm showing it, it's a one take. I show every closet. I show every inch of the house, and I've gotten feedback from people that I've helped buy a house here in Charlotte now, that they were like,
Right.
"Oh, we love how detail oriented you are on the videos." And so I'm not sure the shorts for my specific channel would be helpful, but I have found that the shorts are like TikTok for me.
Yeah.
House tours on TikTok have done really well for me.
Okay.
Unfortunately, though, no leads from there.
Not yet.
Not sure why. Not yet. Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah, I think most of the TikTok generation aren't in that purchasing home category yet.
Yeah, my analytics say I'm hitting a lot of people that are 25 to 34. A good percentage of them are 35 to 45 or 44. I'm like, I'm hitting the target client, and it's a little over 50% are people based here in Charlotte.
Okay.
But it still hasn't converted to anything. So maybe I'm not really sure I can't quantify its impact yet. That's
Right.
what I should say.
Okay. Well, it'll come.
Yeah.
If you build it, they will come, as the Field of Dreams said. Just to get an idea of, your motivations, what drives you? Like, what makes you get up out of the bed every morning?
I think what really gets me motivated is, I don't know how to answer that question really well. really what drives me is I'm kind of excited the fact that I get to do this job, so and I still get to make a great living. I get to have an impact on other people, and it still gives me the freedom to on Fridays 9 to 11 play pickleball if I want to,
Mm.
or I do a lot of running, and the fact that I can have a job where I feel like I'm impactful. I am making a good enough living where I feel very comfortable and I'm happy I get to enjoy my life, uh, and still have the freedom and flexibility to do what I want. That for me right now is the biggest driver. Um, I think about it I see my wife is she's an environmental engineer, and she basically is the track that I would have gone down.
Hmm.
And I'm glad she loves it. She loves her job, but there's many times where I see what she does, and I am glad with what or the choices I've made,
Okay.
if that helps.
No, that definitely helps. Makes your decision, worthwhile.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you do love it. Um, Another question that I kind of have, and you may have touched on it a little bit earlier, but has there been like a pivotal moment in your life that has, changed your worldview, changed what you're doing, or changed your trajectory to be, to get to where you are right now?
I don't know if there's a pivotal point that I can say this is an inflection point that changed my thought process, but I can say that I don't want to like cliche, but like the distance running for me has been the biggest impact to show how small efforts consistently can make a drastic effort or can make a drastic effects long term.
Okay.
I was not like a great athlete in high school at all, or even in college. I was a medium athlete. I played a lot of tennis, and I traveled on the club team for all 4 years. Midway through, I started picking up running, kind of because my sister started running and she ran a half marathon, and I was like, that if she can do it, I can probably do it too. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna, my sister had me sign up for a half marathon with her. She was in California at the time, in San Francisco area.
Okay.
So we ran the Oakland half marathon,
Oh,
and I
nice.
started training for that one. And I remember doing that race, getting to the end, being absolutely exhausted, and realizing that there's people out there that run full marathons, and I couldn't imagine doing the effort that I just did and
And
doubling
running
it.
it.
And
Yeah.
at the time, it was unfathomable. And a year later, after running almost every day and consistently putting effort in, I was able to run a full marathon. And it's just like consistently since then, putting effort in every morning. The small effort, man, not every day is the best day ever, but the small effort gets you a lot further than you imagine. So I think
Yeah.
with life and with real estate, it might not feel like you're making great leaps and bounds strides every single day. Or with my job, there's days that I feel like I'm not productive,
Hmm.
but there's definitely small wins that I've made that are resulting in a year down the line substantial change in my life.
Okay. No, that's definitely very motivating because I started in 2020, right when the pandemic hit. I
Hmm.
started doing long distance running. I'm still not great at it, and since I've been in Charlotte, I've kind of fallen off a little bit. But um, that was one of the things because I don't know, like I grew up, I played soccer, I ran track, and so, but I was always like a sprinter. I hated long distance. Um, and I had one of my managers who I'm trying to get on the show. He started doing like ultra marathons and
Yep.
like 50Ks and like crazy stuff. And he was like, just get out there and just do it, just run.
Yeah.
He was like, you might hate it, just try it for a month or whatever and see if you like it. And if you do, great. If you don't, try something else. And so I tried it. Started just I'll go out, do a mile. Uh, Once I was like, okay, I can do a mile. That's not too bad. Then I went up to 3, and I've done a couple 5Ks. I did Beta Breakers in San Francisco,
Okay. Yep.
which is 12K.
Yep.
It's like 7 miles. So that was fun. Then I did Spartan races. I did 2 Spartan races, which was really, really grueling. Uh, because it's not just running. Like all I did to train for it really was run.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Uh, and I didn't train as well on like some of like the events,
The obstacles
the
and stuff.
obstacles,
Yeah.
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 Which is the more challenging part. Is the running part. I was like, okay, I got this. I got the cardio for it. but then carrying a 50-pound bag up and down the stairs of AT&T Park Stadium, it's not the.
That'll get you.
It got to me a little bit.
And the change in effort, the heart rate, you're gonna you're gonna spike your heart rate
Yep.
during that your obstacles, and then it's gonna come back down. That will exhaust you.
Yeah.
That's brutal.
The second one I did was an outdoor one, and that one was kind of like similar to Tough Mudder.
Yep.
We had to jump down into a pit of water, and then climb up the thing, and then go underneath, and that was the most disgusting day I've ever felt. But it was fun. I stumbled my way through it, but I did complete it, and so that is something that was at least motivating for me. Is like I may not do a whole lot of effort, but the more I continue to progress on and do like small little things, I can see that change kind of happen. And I feel like I'm in decent shape now. I started playing soccer again.
That's awesome.
But I'm still not in soccer shape, so now I gotta progress more and even get to an even higher place.
It takes time. You're not going to PR every day, but the small efforts add up over a long time. When I was in college training for the first half marathon, I remember doing an 8-mile run and then going to tennis practice, and I was just so beat. And I was so exhausted. I thought, like, man, I just crushed it. Like, I did.
Yeah.
I worked so hard, and retrospectively looking back, like, I'm really proud of that, but I realized that after years of that 1% effort every day, that 8-mile run now, I did over 8 miles this morning, and it just didn't phase. It's just an easy run, and that's one of those, like, I think that's the biggest impact in terms of how I approach life, or how I approach my business and I guess running, obviously.
Awesome. No, that makes a whole lot of sense. So because this show is called What Drives You, and I did see that you are a car enthusiast.
Yeah.
I have a couple car questions that I like to chat about, because I'm a huge car lover. Part of the reasons why I love living in America is because I can drive for hours and see different places.
Oh yeah.
If money was no object, you weren't trying to be responsible, whatever, what would be your dream car?
I've had this question asked. Like, I've been asked this question in the past, and it's such a hard thing to answer because there's so many cars that I'd like love to own, but I've never driven them, so I don't know if I would actually love to own them, or I just love the idea of them. Right off the top, like my childhood dream car was always Lamborghini Gallardo, Spider, 6-speed manual.
Okay.
Greatest to me. It seems like that's an attainable supercar dream car. I watched Top Gear when I was a kid, and there was the episode of Clarkson when he drove the Gallardo Spider, and I've watched that an embarrassing amount of times. But then if I think about it, I'm like, oh man, any car, I could have a Carrera GT. And the Carrera GT, also one of those cars that I've, the perfect time. It came out when I was a kid.
Yep.
The Enzo, the Carrera GT, the SLR McLaren. I always wanted the Carrera GT. I'm a big Porsche guy now. I've had 2 Boxsters now.
Okay.
And man, it just seems like the Carrera GT is the ultimate car.
Yeah. No, I love the Porsches. When I used to go to Car Week in Carmel.
Yep.
And they had the unveiling of the 918.
Yep.
And I was like, this is like probably the most beautiful car I've seen. Because like their style hasn't changed a whole lot.
It's evolution, not revolution.
But like you just know that it's a good quality car because of that style.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna stay low. You're gonna hug the road really well. It still has some of the luxuries, in a daily driver, but it's just a beautiful
It's
car.
beautiful, it's classy, it's not too flashy, but for the right person, they know that it's a special car.
Exactly.
And that's what's important. I don't want, I don't know if I ever want to drive a red Ferrari just for the flashy element of it. And that's also a problem with the Lamborghini. To me, the Lamborghini has a special place for me because that was when I was a kid. It was like, oh, that was the coolest car ever.
Yeah.
In reality, do I think I ever want to be seen driving around in a Lamborghini regularly? No. I think it gives a perception I'm not sure I want to give, or it gives a persona I'm not sure I want to have. But
Right.
that being said, I still, for my own personal pleasure, I feel like at some point that's an attainable supercar.
Yeah. I got the test drive Lamborghini Performante.
Yep, the Huracan.
And that it was an older model, and while it is very fun to drive, I also drove the Corvette, the 2022 Stingray,
C8. Oh,
and that was just so much more fun.
oh, interesting. That's surprising.
uh, because it had some of the creature comforts that like I'm more used to,
Yep.
while still being a high performance vehicle. Now, like I said, I enjoyed the Lamborghini, and it was fun, and I hugged the corners with it, and even the guy that did the test drive, and he was like, most people are scared of this car. And I was like, it's made for this.
It's
Like,
four-wheel drive too.
right. Like it's designed to be driven. I'm not gonna, you know, sugarcoat it. I'm gonna try to drive it how I like to. So that but it is a definitely. I don't know if that would be a car that I could like see myself driving every day
Yeah.
or getting in, frequently. Whereas something, like the Corvettes, or maybe even maybe like a newer Lamborghini might be a little different of experience
Yep.
in terms of the everyday quality, but it was definitely at least fun to drive.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I've never driven them. Still idolize them and look up to the Lamborghinis as man, it's just like a aspirational car. Especially for me, I've realized as I'm getting slightly older, and not that I'm old by any means, but as I'm getting older, I'm realizing that the cars that I'm the most into are the cars when I was in, middle school, high school, when I was the most into cars.
Right.
Those are that generation of 2008 to 2012, that time frame. Those are the coolest cars for me.
Mm.
And modern, the newest Lamborghini, the Revelto, it's cool, but
Yeah,
it doesn't do anything compared to a like a Mercy for me. Mercy, so cool.
The Lamborghini Countach was my dream car as a kid.
Yep.
I just remember like drawing it, and just like the rims and like everything about that car just seemed like so cool.
Those are getting so expensive now too.
Oh yeah.
Half mil plus minimum.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But the car is beautiful.
I look at that because there's a Gallardo Superleggera 08 in the orange with the stripe and the rear carbon fiber wing, listed right now. It has 38,000 miles, which doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
But that's a lot for that car.
Yeah.
But it's listed now for $135,000, and I'm like, that's a lot. That's a lot of money. But at the same time,
For that car.
I worry that in 10 years, when I can actually afford a car like that, that in 10 years is going to be way more than $135,000.
Right.
I worry it's going to happen. What happened to the Countaches?
Right.
They're going to see them and realize that they were special. But Countach is much lower production number.
Right. So that also kind of factors into it too.
Yeah.
And I really love the Urus. That's the one new Lamborghini that, like, I don't know, because it's just because I like the trucks. I'm not a huge truck person, but like, it's a big enough truck, but then it still seems like
Still an Audi underneath though.
Yeah. I mean, that's most of these high performance cars.
Yeah, you're not wrong. The Gallardo was the first partnership under Audi that they developed a product together. So
Yeah, so it's not, that happens. That's going to happen quite frequently.
yeah,
With a lot of these higher end cars, especially now that they're moving to like the EV versions and stuff too.
yeah.
It's just updated Prius at this point. So just gonna pull in to one of my favorite coffee shops here. This is Burr Berry here on South Boulevard. I don't know. I happened to be driving up this way one time and I saw it, and now I cannot stop going here for coffee. I don't know. It's
I
really
don't
good.
think I've ever been here.
Never?
No, I've driven past here. I've run past here. I've never been here.
Yeah. No, this is a really good coffee shop, and anytime somebody comes to Charlotte or wherever, they're like, let's go to coffee, let's go to Starbucks. I was like, let's go to Burr Berry instead.
Nice.
They have like some like cool little, seasonal flavors and stuff like that, and they do little things here and there. But it's definitely more of a, more local feel. I just like, I don't know, like the better coffee to me is when it's in a local coffee shop.
Yeah.
I love to support local coffee shops as much as I can. Um, and I try to encourage people to do it as well. So I want to ask another car question while we're, driving along. Now that I have my lovely Burr Berry coffee. No ad. This is not a sponsored ad. I just really love their coffee. Has there ever been a car that you like missed out on? So you had the opportunity to buy it, you were almost there, but like for some reason you didn't pull the trigger, or you just like, something happened and life happened and you didn't get it. Has there ever been a missed car?
There's been a couple misses, but I think the biggest miss for me was I've been looking at. So I've had two Boxsters now in the last 5 years, and longer than that, man, last 8 years. First one I bought it right out of college. Who knows if that was a good idea, but I drove that car for 3.5, 4 years. My only car. I loved it. It was such a great car, and at the time I was thinking like, when I'm finally done with this Boxster, I'm gonna buy a 2002 to 2004 911 C4S. It's got the turbo wide body with the NA engine in it. Fantastic car. I test drove one back then, and that was back when they were like 20 to 30K for a decent one, an okay one.
Right.
And that's all I want. I don't need the nicest of it. I'm going to put a lot of miles on it.
Exactly.
So at the time, I never pulled the trigger, and I was like, bummer. And once COVID hit, prices of them skyrocketed. They're now 30 to 40, sometimes more if you want one that actually has good history. And I still, even this time when I was looking to buy Boxsters, I test drove one, and I still think about it. Even though I bought the Boxster that I want in a green color that I love, it's a great car and it fits all my needs, but I still keep looking. Every time I see a 911 C4S pop up on Bring a Trailer, I'm favoriting it, I watch it, and I'm like, I still got like 3 favorited on Facebook Marketplace. I have 2 on Car Gurus. I'm still looking at it. It's just like, seems like a matter of time. And I've missed out I've missed out on that car. I don't know if there's a specific that was the car that I missed out on. There's only one that was the car, and that was a Boxster, same generation that I have now. That was on Bring a Trailer in the perfect color for me, macadamia metallic, manual with the the natural brown leather interior, which is like it was like a $4,000 or $5,000 option back in the day.
Right.
And it's just to find one Boxster S manual macadamia exterior with the natural brown leather interior, heated and ventilated seats, couple sports options or like sporty options. It was just the perfect spec car, and I wasn't willing to bid up to where it sold at, and I think I regret it. I think I regret it. And yeah, I don't know if I'd be looking at C4Ss still if I would have had that car.
Right.
But
yeah, you never know.
You never know. I have that VIN number saved, and if it ever pops up for sale, I'm gonna get notified.
Yeah. Like I'm still gonna watch that one.
I'm still watching that one. I wish I knew who the owner was. I'd send him a message.
No, that's awesome. I love just hearing car stories. I interviewed someone over the weekend, and they kind of had a similar experience where like this is their car. I have a good buddy of mine out in California. Well, he's in Colorado now, but when I moved to California, we both started working at Apple together. And
I didn't know you worked at Apple.
Yes, I used to work at Apple. We worked at the store together.
Oh, fun, huh?
And he was very interesting. So when we were in our training, he had like this old like 93 Lexus. He had like
LS 430.
Something might have been
A sedan.
Yeah, it was it was the 4-door. Yeah, it was a sedan. So I think it was LS.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's a great car.
Great car. He had the craziest sound system in it, right? Like if you sat in the back, it would give you a massage because he had 2 15s that sat facing towards the the rear seat, and he also could flip the audio and they could do outside speakers.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah, wildest sound system. But it was an older car. He had it for a while, so I thought, he was cool. We listened the same kind of music and everything like that, so we got real cool during training. So then our first day in the store, we worked in the Palo Alto, and he pulled up in a Maserati, and I was like, wait, what? He's like, where does this come from? He goes, oh yeah, this is one of my other cars. And I was like, other cars? So there's more? He was like, yeah, he was working at a car audio shop.
Okay.
And he was doing like, they were doing car systems. They would also do like just customizable like lock boxes and stuff. And,
Yeah.
you know, as much as customization as you wanted in your car, that's what they were working on. And so he was like, yeah, I would, my credit isn't great, so I buy them, but I put it in like my family's name or my mom's name or someone else's name. But he's like, yeah, so this is one. So it was a Maserati Quadriport, the Ferrari engine,
V8. Yeah.
V8. It was a white interior, white exterior with all red interior.
Yep.
Beautiful, beautiful car. So anyway, he's like the person that really got me into cars and like being able to like actually see them in person. His first person took me to Car Week. Because like before I moved to California, my dream car was a 7 Series BMW.
Okay.
I just
It's a fun dream car.
I know I saw like the Bentleys and stuff like that, and I thought that was a little bit too gaudy for me. But I just like a 7 Series BMW, with like 26-inch rims. When I look back at him,
Young Tanico.
young Tanico did not have enough vision at the time. But then we moved to California, and we would go to like Car Week or Cars and Coffee, and then that's when I started seeing like some of the other brands like Pagani and Koenigsegg and the Alfa Romeos or the Ferraris, Lamborghinis, and like learning the difference between like like a Ferrari California is that's the entry level Ferrari, which to most people that's a Ferrari. Like,
It's a Ferrari.
God. Right? But then when you get around those spaces and then you start talking to them, it's
That was a Ferrari you bought to go buy the other Ferrari to get you to order the nice one.
Exactly. And so like just kind of learning that environment and then seeing the different stuff, and then he's bought a few different cars like off auction, and like he tried to get it and it didn't work, and then he ended up getting it because he has a Porsche Carrera, I think like 2001, 2003.
Yeah, 996 generation. Yep.
All blacked out.
Yep.
Then he just bought. He was the reason why I got the GTI, because he bought one, souped us up. Then two of my other buddies out there in California both bought GTIs. So I was like, oh, I want a GTI. I want a GTI. And it's in 2020. I finally was making enough where I can pull the trigger and buy a car. But then like the pandemic hit, and I was like, I don't really need a car. And so I didn't end up buying it, but I went to test drive it. And it was a 2020, the 2021 GTI, brand new off the lot. Would have been like 24,000.
Okay.
But then I waited. Of course, the pandemic supply chain issues made car prices go astronomical, and then the paying
24 off the lot anymore.
it wasn't 24 off the lot anymore. I ended up getting this car in 2022, which is a 2016 GTI. It had 40,000 miles on it, so it wasn't too bad. So I ended up getting this 2016 GTI. It only had about 40,000 miles on it though, so it wasn't too bad for a 6-year-old car at the time. It had a really great service package. Like you can see the service history.
Yeah.
And the person that had it before, they took it like they were like 5,000 miles and everything like that. So I ended up paying 24 for this.
Not bad. I love buying depreciated cars or slightly depreciated cars. I think the average mileage on my two cars right now is like 180,000 miles.
Wow.
My Boxster's got 96 and my Land Cruiser's 265-ish.
Yeah. I mean, I bought this car as my forever car. Like this is my very first car that I ever owned.
Okay.
And so for me, I'm not gonna get rid of this anytime soon. Which is why I'm like, I'm okay with keeping it.
I think my wife always makes fun of me because I tell her I'm going to keep a car for longer. I'm like, I'm going to keep this car for a while, and she's like, we'll see about that, because I think my average ownership time's like about a year right now. So she's like, yeah, we'll see. When we get to that year mark, you'll find your next Next
Next
project.
project, yeah. It'll be 2 years in April, I believe. I had
Pretty
this
good.
car. Um, I've doubled the mileage on it, or 30,000 miles since I got it. I did drive across the country, so that
That's a lot of miles.
that
Yeah.
was a lot of miles right there. But I don't know. So far I'm loving this car. It's just enough space for my kids in the back. It's still got a little bit of zip and a little bit of fun to drive around, but
Yeah,
no,
cars are meant to be driven. The car with no miles to me is sad. So I
exactly.
love seeing I love seeing big mileage on cruisers and other cars. Like people who drive their 911s and put them in 150,000 miles. I love that. That's super fun. I would much prefer someone who's out there putting a lot of miles, having a lot of fun on the car, than someone who garage cleans it.
Yeah.
That's just
Oh,
doesn't get me excited.
my car, it has 0 miles on it.
Yeah.
For what? That's not a car. That's a fashion accessory at that point.
Do you think cars can be art?
They can be artistic. I think if it's a real car, no, but cars can be art if, like, it can be an artistic expression of how you set it up, how you use it. If you're doing like decal and stuff on the side,
Yep.
it can be a representation. But I don't just like for the whole fully functional vehicle to have like no gasoline put through it, or
You don't think a Pagani's art?
even a battery, like it's art, but it's more beautiful. It's more art when it's running.
But it's even more beautiful if it's out driving.
Right.
Okay.
Like it's beautiful to look at when it's just sitting there.
Yeah.
But like hearing that engine like rev up and vroom, and like that's when it's art to me. It's when it's in motion.
I think that's a good answer because obviously I agree that I think cars should be driven, but I think cars are generally beautiful. Or at least like the right car.
The car is beautiful, but to me, it's more beauty when it's being driven.
Okay.
Because I mean, like, I've seen the people that make like the fake Porsches or like
the replicas.
out of wood and stuff. Like, it looks the same, so that's a beautiful, but it's not the same kind of art because it's not the car,
It's not the same thing.
right? And it's not going to drive the same.
Pontiac Fiero with a Ferrari body kit's not the same.
No. Or like even the new Corvettes, they kind of look like Ferraris
But they got a flat pan crank like a Ferrari.
but it's still not until you turn the engine on, and then you can hear the difference. It's still a good car. It's not bad, but it's not a Ferrari.
Doesn't have the same presence or I guess like the excitement factor of it.
Exactly.
I don't want to say like it doesn't have the exclusivity, but it doesn't.
No, it does. It's not as you don't have to own another Corvette to buy that Corvette.
Yeah.
We have to own a Ferrari to buy.
Unfortunately, that's happening in the Porsche world too.
Yeah.
Not happy about that.
But you already got a couple, so you can say.
Yeah, but I'm not buying those from dealerships. I'm buying them with a lot of miles.
True. Very true. My last question for the show is, what do you want to be remembered for?
I think that's a tough question to answer. I think in general, I'd want to be remembered for just being a general positive person that kind of always had a smile on his face and is able to take even a bad situation and have a positive spin on it. One of my good buddies, Ben, his dad, mid 60s now. He still works, not because he has to, but because I think he wants to.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I see that guy, he has a smile on his face, and he's always happy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that happiness is a choice, not just a feeling. Like I think that he wakes up every day and he's like, I'm gonna have a good day, and I think that resonates with other people as well. Everybody when they see him, just having a good time, and I think that that's something that I'd prefer. I don't really think that there's going to be any accomplishment I make out there that's going to say, oh, that's the pinnacle. I don't know if there's any one moment I would want to be remembered for as like that. But if people look back and said like, oh, just like a happy, optimistic guy, I think that would make me happy. That to me is important.
Okay, no, that's the great answer. I kind of want to be remembered for something similar. That everyone who's been around me has had a good time.
Yeah.
And that they've enjoyed their interaction with me. That's kind of what I want to be remembered for. Like, oh, we had a great time with Nico. Like, he was so much
He
fun.
was just positive. He had good.
Yeah.
He had good energy. He was just overall just like a happy person.
Exactly.
Smiled and was friendly.
Yeah.
And I think there's always like you just got to give people the benefit of the doubt. Some people just aren't having a good day, but that doesn't need to ruin your day.
Exactly.
People honking at you, you know what? They might need to be in a rush quicker than you, and you know what? That's okay. Let them go.
Exactly.
So I think that to me, one of the big things I admire about my wife is I think that she does a really good job of not saying, okay, I need to hit this financial goal or I need to, accomplish these things, then I'll be happy. She just is very good at saying, hey, this is what my life is right now, and I'm very happy with it. And I think that that's something that I admire greatly about her, and I think that I slowly am admiring to be better with myself.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Grant, for taking the time to sit with me and tell me a little bit more about yourself and what drives you. I'm glad we were able to have this conversation, and I'm looking forward to having more conversations with you as well.
Yeah, thank you so much. This is super fun.
And if you have anything that you want to plug, now's a good time to. I know you have your YouTube channel.
I mean, yeah, if you search my name, Grant Wilsterman, it's my YouTube channel. They're not the greatest videos ever, but they're very informative house tours.
Nothing else makes me feel high. She's like such a light.